Yes, it was the plan all along. That I could say. We identified the narrative opportunity of the genre as something that we wanted to explore, something we felt that despite how many outstanding roguelike games exist, we hadn't seen too many of them exploring the narrative potential. And we felt that it was very rich, because the experience of playing one of those games is that even when you lose everything from one run to the next, you still carry forward your knowledge. So we were interested in having a narrative experience that could reflect the player's experience, so that, the first time you encounter a boss, for example, you have no idea what they're capable of. It's kind of scary. You don't know what to expect. But by the 20th time or something like that, you know how this is going to go, and have the characters be able to kind of play along with the player's own understanding of the world and kind of growing knowledge of the world. This whole approach, it actually served us well in the past on our very first game, Bastion, where we wanted to make an action RPG, but we knew that we weren't going to make a game as kind of big and sophisticated as, say, Diablo 2 or something like that. So we approached it from a narrative standpoint, knowing the genre both had potential there, and also because narrative can just help, justify all your little design decisions. There's no multiplayer in Bastion. Well, it's a game about the end of the world. There are not that many people left. So you don't really think about it as much as in other games, thanks to the narrative aspect. Yeah, it's a great question. I think I think we're still, the aspects of the success of Hades are still very surreal to all of us, because I think day to day, things have not necessarily changed for us all that much. We love creating games, and we love collaborating as a team. And we're a pretty small team of about 20 people. So what we very much want to do is stick together and keep making games as a small team. We don't have these ambitions now of like, oh, we can grow and become a AAA sized studio and things of that nature. Those things can be very exciting. And there's, of course, all sorts of different opportunities we can consider around Hades. But for us, it's really, really important that we stay focused as a small team and keep doing the main thing that we love, which is making games together. So I don't think that things have changed much for us, but maybe it's still sinking in to some extent. It'll be interesting to see. I think part of it is also that we have experienced at least some version of this before, because our first game, Bastion, was kind of unexpectedly successful for us at the time. So we had to sort of move forward knowing we had this beloved game behind us, and maybe we'd never make something that people liked as much as that game ever again. We have that same feeling now with whatever we do next. We try not to get too hung up on trying to make each thing we do, promising that it'll be bigger and better than our previous game. Because if people love Hades this much, we'll be lucky to make something again that they like similarly. It's hard to imagine what Hades would have been if not for early access. If we the decision to make it an early access game was the very first decision that we made, even before we decided it would be a roguelike game or have the Greek myth theming. So it's hard to extract that from the game, if that makes sense. It was so fundamental to the kind of game we made. But in the hypothetical scenario where we did make it without early access, I think what would have happened was it would have been smaller, and it would have been a lot worse. Kind of as simple as that. It would have been a lot buggier, and the balance of the different weapons and boons wouldn't have been as strong. Early access was immensely helpful across every aspect of the game, including the narrative. It was certainly an intense couple of years while developing the game out in the open, but the feedback we got was incredibly useful, and the support that we got from our player community also inspired us to kind of do more with the game than we would have imagined doing, I think, on our own. We just had that confidence that players were enjoying it in all these different ways, and we kept trying to kind of make each part of it better and better. So it worked out extraordinarily well for the game. I can hardly imagine what it would have been like without. We take a long time to figure out what our next project will be, and we only start that process once we're kind of done working on the game that we've been working on up until that point. For example, with Hades, we didn't even start thinking about what that game would be until after Pyre, our previous game, had already shipped and was out there. It's just, with a small studio like ours, being very focused on our current project has always been very important to us. In terms of what's next, I think I don't have a specific answer, but broadly, it is just us sticking together as a small team and continuing to collaborate together on games that feel like we as a team are uniquely kind of capable of making, whatever sort of game that is. So I would say, don't expect us to like go AAA or something like that. Hopefully you can expect us to continue making games however long it takes for us to make them. So I hope that's of some reassurance. If people like the kind of style of game that we make, I think the values behind our games have been in common from game to game, even though the games themselves have been quite different. So the approach to world building and atmosphere, the way that how you play the game can be tailored to your personal style. All those things are really important to us kind of in anything we make. So we still have a lot to figure out on what that's going to be next, but we are very excited to move forward and find out what that will be.